Got a Sanyo fr1080 turntable going. I got it for 25 bucks from a buddy. Basically without a belt. Got the belt, gave it a quick service. It needs a anti-skating weight, a piece of fish line from there to here, but I think it's 1.5 grams, a little nut or something like that. I got to check my notes. Anyways, here we go. Retro record as well. Not loud enough. This is an AAR21 that I had kicking around. Just gave it a quick service. Needed a 4-amp fuse on the speaker output. Obviously somebody had shorted their speakers, but it works well. And man, it's been a while since I heard records. This is an old test record I've had for years. Now it's a classic. I guess I better clean it up and find something else that's really junky, but it rocks a bit, you know. Crap speakers and all, but yeah, it's a good little setup, and it's an interesting machine the way it works too. It doesn't start on its own, but it shuts off on its own. So cool little setup. Anyways, a bit retro, and there you go, internet. Take care. Now, when you want to move these things, you got to dismantle them a bit. So the first thing you do is remove the needle shell, put that in a safe place. Lots of fluffy Kleenex to protect the needle. And then the next step, lock this down and even put some tape. Actually unscrew and remove the weight. Okay, put that separately as well. Then what you do is you lift up the rubber. Don't bend this metal, you know, keep that flat. Move it off. Then I like to use a something like a Q-tip. Snap one end off, and then what you do is you turn the turntable, and only turn in this direction, which looking down is anti-clockwise, and you come across, line up the motor. There's the belt, and what you do is you use the stick, get in there and just work around, get it off the pulley, and it's hard to do with one hand, but get past there, and then leave the stick in place and just let it go click. Then, so now the rubber band is holding that in place. It makes it easier to reassemble. Then you pull this up. You might have to, you almost need two hands. What I do is I push on the center and use two fingers. Lift it up and remove it. To service these, you take the belt off and you clean that outer edge surface. Okay, so I'll put aside the turntable, the platter, sorry, and then you can put screws down and stuff through these holes, but this is being shipped by car, so I'm not going to worry about it. And I'll talk about reassembly. And then to remove the lid, see if I can do this. Okay, where is it? Okay, the lid, what you do is you slide that way. You slide that way. So I'm going to just grab it like this, and then just slide, rock it back and forth, and see these slots? There's two of them on the lid. Yeah, right there. And you can see the two pegs it slides into. So you just got to do it parallel to that. And then, you know, pack this separately as well. And that's pretty well it for setting this up for shipping. All right, I don't have it in place, but an anti-skate weight. I think it's 1.5 grams. I'm going to check my notes. Goes from there to there. You just basically, it's a little loop, and you just disconnect it and take it out of here and put that separately. And your anti-skate adjustment is where you put it along here. Okay. This is very typical of a lot of turntables. So now you got the turntable, you got all these pieces. Let's put it back together. So first thing with this, you got to make sure that this is pushed in, both pieces. See the way it does this? Shove them both in on this model. Okay, it says right on the diagram to do that. And then you get the platter. This can be difficult to do with one hand, but I'll give it a try. Grab it with 2 fingers. Look where that is. What I like to try and do is spot it through the hole. Man, can I actually do this with the camera in my hand? I don't know. Anyways, yeah, drop it in. There you go. Now what you do is you want to hook up the belt. And here is our stick that's holding the belt. Now I don't know if I can do this with one hand or not. We'll give it a try. And then you pull on the belt. Let's see, I like to get it low down on the stick. Low down on the stick, and then looking through the camera, let's see if I can do this. There and there. Put it on the pulley, and then give it a spin anti-clockwise. Make sure everything's good. Oh, also if you want, you can turn it on just by moving the arm, and take a little Q-tip and alcohol and wipe that while it's spinning. That's in service. And then once you've done that, then you drop the platter cover on it, and then you take the weight. Make sure this is still clipped in. If this was being shipped, it'd be taped down. Put your weight on in that direction and just slight pressure and start turning it. Okay, and I'll show you how to adjust that in a sec. Then your cartridge shell and cartridge and all that, you'll see it go just straight up and down like that. There's actually a locating pin right there and a slot. I don't know, you probably can't see that, but we'll line it up and line it up, put it in. Okay, and then slight pressure forward, spin this, and it'll bite and tighten right up. Suck in and tighten right up. Okay, so now you have to hook up the anti-skating to the middle to start, and then loop the fish wire through here, fishing line through here, and the weight's there. Now to balance this might, let's see if I can do this, hold it in place. Okay, what you do is you unlock it, and then be very careful. I like to put one finger right there so I don't hit anything. Have it unplugged, don't let it run away on you, and start going back, unscrewing the weight until it floats. There, now it's, see the way it's floating? Okay, if you go too far, then it just goes straight up. Watch you don't hit that needle on the record. So you adjust it until it's balanced and sitting level. You can see why you need anti-skate. There, that's pretty good. Okay, lock the arm. That's zeroed. Oh, and that's another thing you do, is with the anti-skating, you drop it down, back it off just a bit so it's floating free in the air. Don't let it strike your needle. And then you can see the way it has a tendency of moving towards. What you do is you use the string to counterbalance that. If the string's pulling it back, you're too much. You know, basically going this direction increases, going that direction decreases. So if it's being pulled this direction, move it that way. If it's being pulled, still pulling this direction, move it this way. So in other words, if it's sucked that way, move it in. If it's sucked that way like it is right now, move it out until it's just floating. And that's how you set it up. Now just set, now you've got it balanced, this outer, now you got to balance this outer ring, moves independent, zero it, and then dial into what grams you want. I think this is a 2 gram cartridge, I'll have to check, whatever it is. And then the last step is to put, and I don't know how I'm going to do this one-handedly, but line up this slot with this peg on both sides. Don't let it go all the way in. You want to do this evenly, and then just rock it and boom, it's in place. and you're ready to rock and roll. Throw a record on there, plug it in. Oh, is the amp still on? Amp is on. Okay, then put it on lift, unlock it, line it up, and then toggle this. And oh, see, sometimes it'll actually go and finish its cycle, because in movement sometimes things change, so it thinks it's been triggered. It'll shut off. That only happens once. So just go again and hit this. Oh, sorry, put that down to play. And anyways, there you go. So again, lift. Okay, so you want to play it, move it over with that and lift, hit play, and then this, if it doesn't go down, toggle this, and oh, see, it did it again. Hang on. Okay, sometimes this type of turntable, the mechanism needs cycling a little bit to get its system to park in the proper place for proper restarting. So I just cycle it through its normal operation a couple of times. You always start on lift just in case, and then, you know, it's better not to manually put the record down. And then you move it over, it's suspended by lift, then you drop it to play. If it doesn't drop, then you cycle this. Okay, go like so. Now it might end up parking itself because it's confused. In this case it didn't, so hit that again to make itself park, and then I'm going to do it once more and it should be good. And you might even have to do this a couple of times. Okay, so again, start with lift, move it over the turntable, play. If it doesn't drop, cycle, and it should hydraulically dampen and cycle. And there you go. And then of course you can lift in the middle of a play and move over to another part of the record, go down. Okay, and then I'm just going to show you what happens at the end. Just, it will recognize it's at this end of the record, and it will park itself. And then for safety, clip this when you're not using it. So again, always start with lift, move it over, put it to play. If it doesn't drop, cycle it, and everything should be good after you cycle it a couple of times. So enjoy your Sansui fr1080 niece. Okay, and this is Akai AAR21 I had kicking around. I got it going for my niece. Basically, it's not a bad unit, you know, it's got some poop to it. I had to change a 4 amp fuse in there in the speaker output. Basically looks like somebody shorted their speakers and it took the fuse out instead of the unit. But yeah, not a bad little unit. It's got FM, you know, it's digital. It even has a tuning thing. See, it shows you green when it's good. And you know, no push buttons or anything to speak of, but it's a nice little unit, and I think between this and that turntable, my niece ought to be real happy. She's gotten into records. She sent me a ad of a record player, which was the 50s record eater, and I said, give me a little bit of time. It took longer than I figured, and I will get together some piece of equipment here for you. This thing cost me nothing, just a bit of time and 4 amp fuse. And this thing I bought off a buddy at a steal for 25 bucks, spent 13 bucks on a belt, and I'm going to get hopefully a new needle if they're not outrageous. It seems like it's got a decent cartridge in it. But anyways, very little money to give lots back, and it give me great pleasure, Bonnie and I, to let our niece experience the record experience, vinyl. Anyways, take care, Internet. Ciao. Okay, to hook this thing up, first of all, pull this out so you got maximum AM. Your FM wire goes there and there. By just a wire usually work. You can see I've just got the alligator clip. Okay, phono goes there, right and left. Red is usually right. And then there's this wire that needs to go to this ground screw. That's for grounding to the record player. And then you go to the record player. Give me a sec. And right and left on there. Output. And then this wire goes to that screw, because that ground wire has to go from there to there. And then as far as the speakers go, just got one set. Then you hook up, there's your left side, there's your right side. Positive is always red. And before you hook up speakers, what I like to do is I take a battery and just put the speaker across there, touch the wire on and off, and you should hear crackling on the speaker. That way you know it's not shorted or open. Maybe I'll do a demo show. Okay, this is how I test speakers. Here's my two speaker wires, battery, 1 volt, 1.5 volt. Then I hold one side, one end. It's hard to do this with that. Okay, and then the other side, I just scratch it. You can hear a crackle. You hear that? And that way you know the speaker is good. It's not open or shorted. And you do that on both before you hook it up. Also, you can hook up an AM antenna here as well if you need. Long wire outside kind of thing, but this usually does the trick. Also, there's power on all the time, whether this amp's on or not, on or off, whatever. And there's unswitch that switches on and off with the amp, so you can plug different devices in there. There's also a second set of speakers you can hook up if you want somewhere else. Just make sure your speakers are 8 ohm, not 4 ohm. If you do 4 ohm and you put both sets on, then that's 2 ohm across the amp. Not good. And then there's these jacks for hooking up inputs. Now you can hook up MPEG-3 players and that to this and use the tape monitor switch. I don't think you're going to hook up a what do you call it, a tape deck. And then there's also, if you can see it, auxiliary input, and you just press the auxiliary button. You can plug in an MPEG-3 or a DVD player to get loud sound, whatever you want. And that's basically it in a nutshell for this unit. Okay, to operate this thing, there's your power. Okay, here's auxiliary. The jack in the back is called auxiliary. You plug an MPEG-3 player or a computer audio, DVD audio, whatever. There's audio, or sorry, phono for playing records, which is playing right now. And then there's also FM, of course. And basically with FM, you just tune through, of course. But you see these 3 lights right here? Let me turn this down. That means the station is locked. If you get a red on either side, you're not in the center. You want to get right in the middle. AM's just standard, you know, tune. And you get a signal strength there. Okay, we'll go back to FM. Tune something. Okay, now you've got, this is an important one, tape monitor. When you press that, the play jacks in the back is what's active for your MPEG-3 player or whatever. But it kills all of these. And lots of people get stumped by that. They're like, why isn't my system working? Is your tape monitor on source? Make sure that's out. Servo is just some fancy 70s, early 80s tech that's obsolete. Servo stereo. This 25 microsecond on and off is just a FM filter. If you get noisy filter, that'll help. This here is mono in, stereo out. And if it's mono in, it also doesn't mute in between stations. So you get a hiss. So when that's out, it mutes the noise in between. But if you get a weak signal, it'll pop in and out. Sometimes it's best to go mono when you got a weak signal. So anyways, we'll put it back to Put it back to stereo. There it is. This is Loudness. It's just to make more bass at low volumes. I like it on all the time. You know, volume, balance, of course, treble, you know, the bright highs, cymbals, stuff like that. Bass, boom, 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 boom. And then there's speakers, A and B, headphone jack, and here's your power range for this scale. And it's not that accurate. You see, that's a higher range, and lower range. So it's just a way of monitoring your power level, even though it's not really calibrated that well. That's basically how you operate this. Enjoy this, niece. It's not a bad system. Take care. You won't believe this was all ready to button it up. And actually it's a good thing that happened down here, not in Kamloops, where this is going to my niece. The one side died. And basically that's where you put the cartridge. The white wire, I was getting no continuity. And to change the wire in this tone arm is a pretty big job. I've done it before. You know, the wire goes along here, goes through there, out here, goes down, strain relieved, then it's soldered to this terminal strip, and then those wires are to the jacks that go to the amp. But usually it's right here, and then it's a big job to take everything apart and change it. I don't even have this little wire. I was going to see if my local electronics company I've been dealing with since '71 had old stock. But lo and behold, hopefully you can see this white wire, the what do you call it, the soldering came loose. Very unusual. I've never seen that before. Doesn't look like stock wiring to me, or stock solder anyways, but if you can see, I don't know if you can, the wire is actually moving. I don't think you can see that, but anyways, trust me, it's moving, it's intermittent. So I'm going to solder that up. That should take care of the job in like, whew, just so I was going to button it up too. But like I say, good thing, because if this would have happened in Kamloops, it would have been a drag, would have been shipped back down. So we'll see. Anyways, take care, Internet.